Welcome, welcome. Today, Blake and I are together at his house in Orlando, and we want to talk about decision letters, which is the RHM. It's the letter that accompanies the decision on your manuscript.
And as editors of RHM, we take a pretty hands-on approach to these decision letters, in part because we review each manuscript ourselves and add that to the decision, but also because we take great care to parse through the reviews and help synthesize and prioritize what the authors should pay attention to.
So in many ways, you're getting a supercharged review because it has the two anonymous reviewers, but also mine and Blake's view as well. As with most things at RHM, the decision letter is a collaborative process, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
So after we get the reviews back, we decide who will write the initial draft of the decision, and that's based on our own workload, like who has more time at the moment, but also considers other things like how the topic or focus aligns with our interests and knowledge.
But that's only the first little decision. During that initial conversation, we also discuss, but we don't yet decide what the decision on the manuscript will be, especially if the reviews are split. So we discuss what points we're going to prioritize and highlight in the decision letter. Sometimes this is pretty simple and straightforward when reviews are complimentary, but often it's a little harder to parse through not only what the reviews are highlighting, but what will in fact make the piece a strong contribution to the literature. In some cases, we have a different take than one or more of the reviewers, so we discuss on how to handle that.
The majority of our decision letters are 2 to 3 pages, single-spaced, highlighting 3 to 5 major areas that need attention and offering specific suggestions and resources for doing so, both from the reviewers and from us. Depending on the area, sometimes we're fairly directive with these, and other times we offer multiple options for responding to the reviews. We always include the reviewer's comments at the end of the decision letter, and we highlight the sections of these that we want the author or authors to pay closest attention to. When a reviewer also sends us annotated comments in the manuscript itself, we also de-identify and pass these along, sometimes with our own annotations. Once the letter is drafted, it is shared in the common space for the other editor to revise and edit.
It's important to pause here for a moment to talk about what we mean by 3 to 5 major areas.
Yes, you're exactly right, because those are the areas that are the main focus of the decision letter.
Most of you reading or listening to this have received reviews without any sort of editorial guidance. The most talked about experience is the ubiquitous split review, where authors struggle how to proceed because the advice is contradictory. That's why we write decision letters, to assist authors in the revision process by synthesizing, highlighting, and explaining the most important areas for revision.
And maybe we've just been incredibly fortunate at RHM, but in most cases, those major areas are pretty easy to pick out based on the reviews. For example, we've often included sections about clarifying and foregrounding the primary argument, further engaging with relevant scholarly conversations, especially in RHM, unpacking methodological decisions and moves, and teasing out the implications of a study for scholars and other stakeholders.
So pointing out and explaining what the major areas that will improve the manuscript is the primary goal of the decision letter. This also is an extension of our RHM philosophy to make the editorial work of the journal more transparent and, more importantly, to mentor through editorial work.
Absolutely. The one last thing that we circle back to, and for you as authors, it's the most important part, is the actual decision. We've only had a couple where the reviewers agreed upon the decision. This means it's really an important part of our role as editors to come to a consensus decision and articulate that in the letter.
And we have a video posted online that talks about the different types of decisions, so it's probably good if you go and take a look at that to further understand what we're talking about.
And it's also important to say out loud that Lisa and I don't always agree, but that's one of the reasons we've worked so well together. We're good at listening to each other, and we try really hard to incorporate the spirit and focus of the reviews. Our reviewers have been excellent, which makes this process a lot easier.
We also share our decision letters and both reviews with the reviewers. It's always helpful for folks to see how others approach the review process and how they construct reviews. Developing this process has also prompted us to create additional guidelines for what makes a strong and helpful review.
And I think that's a good way to capture our overall philosophy for the decision letter. We're trying to be as constructive and helpful as possible, but we also maintain high standards. And I think you could ask any of the authors who've received a letter from us And they would say that it includes strong but helpful critique.
We've attached 2 annotated decision letters, one after the first round of review and the second after the second round of a revise and resubmit. And we put these here to help further make transparent some of the decisions that we're making so that you can see how this process the whole process works. And we ask both reviewers and the authors for their permission so you can get this insider's view. Oh, if you have questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to contact us at rhm.journal.editors@gmail.com.